When we talk about AI's impact on jobs, business, and the economy, it's worth listening to this clip from Noah Smith from the Big Technology Podcast.
This is one of the economists' favorite stories about technology, and it's the story of how electricity was incorporated into factories. So originally, you had steam-powered factories, which would essentially had a large boiler. The boiler would turn a belt or a crankshaft or something like that, and then everything would turn at the same rate. That's how factories worked. And if you see old like Mickey Mouse cartoons, he's like on this conveyor belt that's like everything like stamping something at a uniform interval. That's because that's steam powered. You couldn't slow down. And so when electricity got invented, factory owners were like, okay, how are we going to do this? Let's rip out our steam boiler and put in an electric dynamo. It turned out that electricity released much less power than steam did, and so it was just a lot weaker. So you had to pay a lot more for the same power. So they were like, "This is useless. This electricity stuff sucks, man." So they ripped it out, put in a steam boiler again, and went back to the old way. And that lasted for about 20 years until some brilliant entrepreneur said, "Wait a second, we could just do all of manufacturing just differently." Because electricity, unlike steam, can easily be routed in parallel instead of in series. This plus, some other advantages you got, but from electricity that'll require you to reorganize the way your factory was shaped, ended up increasing productivity by about a factor of 5. So you got a 5x increase in productivity, this massive, huge increase in productivity from factory electrification. But it took decades for people to figure out we have to change not just what technology we're inputting, but the whole organization of our production process we have to reorganize. And with AI, you're seeing the initial impulse toward AI as, well, I'm just going to rip out a human employee and put in an AI chatbot instead of the human employee. Everybody mentally thinks this is how AI's gotta work. It's a human replacer. The chatbot sounds like a human, so you have to use it like a human. Well, no. And so in the end, and of course, my friend Dario Amodei of Anthropic believes that AI will get so good that eventually you will be able to just use the dumbass use case of just replacing every human with AI. But I say that we're not there yet. We keep finding reasons why AI is not quite like a human. And so replacing humans with AI doesn't quite work. However, machine tool isn't quite like a human, or electricity isn't quite like steam either. And so eventually people will come along and say, you know what, I could just organize my company entirely different to take more advantage of AI. And I don't just have to replace my humans with AI. I just have the humans do different things and the AI do different things. And I reorganize the production process in ways that I, Noah Smith, sitting here in 2025, I'm unable to imagine. And so then we will see amazing productivity growth at that point. But it would, with electricity, it took 20 years for people to sort of think of it.
Just to add, what Noah's talking about and what we've seen on the ground working with clients for the past 2 years is why AI adoption for business is notoriously slow for many. Because most of the time, we're thinking of AI as a bolt-on solution. So an AI automation to replace this task, a digital assistant or chatbot to replace this task, not as a wholesale rethink of the operation itself. The real gains will come when companies rethink their processes from ground up, not what can AI do to replace this human activity, but rather, if we were to start from scratch again, how would we rebuild this process using AI natively? That's where the electricity and steam engine analogy fits perfectly. Productivity will explode once the system has adapted to the tech, not bolting on the tech to the current system. This is even more important when AI agents are added, because it doesn't make sense to just bolt them into part of a current process when they can do the entire process and much more.